Okay, hello everyone again. So now that the schedule is set and we know how many races that are going to be in the 2024 season, which is going to be 24 race, uh, starting with Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Australia. This is the whole schedule here, run down here. So now that we know all this, with this video, I'm going to talk about the normal Formula One race weekend schedule. So, and I'm also going to talk about some like circuits, like because you see that in some circuit it's maybe 44 laps the whole race, while others you find it's 71 laps or less or more. So I'm also going to talk about why is that, and then just give you information and the rundown of the whole race weekend schedule. And then I'm going to also distinguish between a normal race schedule. Then I'm also going to talk about a sprint race weekend schedule. Okay, without wasting any more time, let's talk. Okay, I have here the race schedule for the first race of the year, which is going to be the Bahrain Grand Prix. Okay, which is going to be on the 2nd of March. But that whole race weekend event is starting on the 29th of February. Now, the thing with Formula One is it's the whole race week, like a race week or race weekend schedule, is not just the race day, which is normally and usually in Formula One, race days are on Sundays. But there are sometimes where you find that the race are what on Saturday. Actually, there are some exception where you find that the race are on Saturday. Okay, now, but before we do that, let's talk about the whole schedule. Really, I think I'm going to start with the drivers' conference, press conferences. So I think that's sort of what really. I've decided that I'm going to shorten the information that I do here, and then I'm going to do another information regarding viewership, like where to watch the Formula One, whether it's on own Formula One TV Pro or Sky Sport and all of that. I'm gonna keep that out of this. I'm just going to talk about the schedule. Okay. The schedule normally starts normally on Thursday, I think, with the driver press conference. Yeah. So in the driver press conference, normally it's just a driver being asked about their team, their performance, upgrades, and all that, and just information about the overall race and how they expect to tackle those challenges and overcome any challenge that they could be faced with. So that's normally uh, 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 where everything starts. Okay, and then after the press conferences, like on Thursday, then as you can see here on the schedule, we have normal on a normal race weekend, we have 3 practice. So, and we have FP1, which is free practice 1, then FP2, which is free practice 2, and then FP3, which is free practice 3. Now, free practice 1 and free practice 2 on a normal race weekend, which is where the race is going to be on Sunday, that is normally on Friday. And now, for track action for race weekend, I can say that it starts on Friday because, and usually in this free practice session, driver get to run their setup, test if they have updates, test tires to see which tires are good, and they also do work on their strategy. So here normally what they do, and then how they set up their practice, that's entirely up to the teams. They can decide that maybe in free practice 1 they want to focus on what aspect, maybe tires, or or downforce, check their wing, if they have, how downforce, literally just to familiar, we call it track acclimatization, whereby acclimatization, where they just try to familiarize their car with that track. And because usually tracks are very different from country to country, so and then whatever that track is made of, like the asphalt, the grade of asphalt that is used for that track, it could mean that maybe that specific track is very harsh on tires, or it's not so harsh on tires. And this, they decide this, like this by doing this free practice, they it also where they get all the data and information on that they are going to use when they will set up their race strategy for Sunday. So on which tire to start on and everything, all this. And then the other thing, I think, within this free practice, what they also do, especially free practice FP1 and FP2, they also literally just try to make sure that their car is going to be at a higher performance condition that they expect and they want their car to be. And then moving on to FP3, FP3 is usually on Saturdays. Okay, so FP1 and FP2 are on Friday on a normal race weekend, and then FP3 is usually on Saturday. Then something else happened on Saturday, and that's qualifying, usually in the late afternoon. So, but before that, there's FP3. Now, FP3, this specific practice session, the team tried to utilize this practice session to help set up their car for qualifying, because qualifying is a session which is used to determine who start where on the grid, like the Formula One grid. So, they decide that who start on pole and who start the last. And usually, and Formula One is a times based. So the fastest, it's always like the fastest driver get on pole, or the driver that set the fastest time to complete a lap in less time will start on pole. So as you can see, you see that most of the time, and this is where a car performance is really tested and put to the test, and where people can really see that, oh, this car is really good. And this is during qualifying is where people get to see that this is a very good car. We can see which car is superior according, and then there are 10 manufacturers, and each manufacturer has 2 cars, which make up 20 cars on the grid. So 10 manufacturer, each manufacturer put 2 cars on the grid. So now during qualifying, as I said, it's a very time based exercise, whereby the driver who finish or complete a lap around the circus in less time is the fastest, of course. So, and that driver get to start on pole. And now that pole qualifying set the starting order for the race on Sunday. Sundays are always just race. On a normal race weekend, Sunday, even on sprint weekend, which I'm going to go into and talk about. So Sundays are always race. Nothing else happens on Sundays but racing, the race, or as we say, the Grand Prix itself. It's always on Sundays. Okay. Now that I've talked about that, I'm going to go around and talk about sprint weekend. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to close that. Then I'm going to pick one of the. I think our first sprint this year. I think it's going to be. I don't know. Is it China? Is China a sprint? And now let me. So let me just, okay, you know what, without wasting any more time. So I think the two, if I'm not, I think I know, but I do have the Sao Paulo open here because I'm, so now this is a sprint weekend. Okay, sprint weekend is called a sprint weekend because there's something that happened though that's different from the normal race weekend. It's because there's a sprint. Yeah, sprint is usually it's 100 kilometer fast racing uh, uh, mini race. It's like, and it happened on Saturday compared to the full race that happened that take place on Sunday. So okay, and then the sprint race are not the full length. Then in a normal, okay, I think according to the information that I've read, a normal race, Formula One race is 308 kilometer, so around 2 hours of racing. So 808 kilometer. Okay, but that's normally rounded up sometime depending on the track, I think. So sometimes you find that on some track it's not 308 specifically. It's like maybe some track is 305, 306. I think they round that up. I haven't really been able to get to study or inform myself about what happened that, but I think they must be probably round out. It has to do with the track. I mean, the racetrack length. Then they just maybe round it off or something like that. I don't know. So, but a normal race weekend, a race length is 308 kilometer, which is around 2 hours of racing. Now, let me talk about the sprint weekend. The sprint weekend has some changes to it compared to a normal race weekend. Okay, the sprint weekend we have, of course, also start on Thursday. We have now on a sprint weekend. This is where it's a bit different. We only have one qualifying. As per 2023, we only have one practice session, and this sometimes it's a throw a curveball in the mix because it can get really hard for team to set up their car because just one FP free practice session and then we are straight away into qualifying. Okay, now this qualifying as the beginning of 2023, it was a bit different from the 2022 season because in 2022 we used to have just one qualifying. We decide the sprint, and then the sprint decide the grid for the race weekend. Now from 2023, it's different. We have only FP free practice one, then we go straight in qualifying, and then that qualifying compared to 2022 is not for the sprint. That qualifying is for the race on Sunday. You see? So, and then this all happened on Friday. And then after that, on Saturday, in the early afternoon, we have the sprint shootout. Now, the sprint shootout is where we decide the starting grid for the sprint, which also happened just later on Saturday, like in the late afternoon on Saturdays. Or in some track, it's in like Qatar, the sprint happened in the evening. So I think that has to do with the time zone, of course. So now sprint shootout decide the grid for the sprint. So you see the difference. So from 22, we used to have one qualifying which set the starting grid for the sprint, and then the result for the sprint in 2022 used to determine the starting grid for the Sunday race. Now from 2023, it's different, and I think it's the same order and format that's going to be used in 2024. So We have free FP1, just one practice session. Then we go into qualifying. That's qualifying, and that's happened on Friday. Qualifying set the starting grid for the Sunday race, for the main race itself. And then on Saturday, we have a sprint shootout, which is to decide the starting grid for the sprint. And all that, and together with the sprint, they all happen on Saturday. So then the sprint has no effect on the Sunday race. And so the sprint is like it's self-contained event on its own. It has nothing anymore to do with the Sunday race. So the sprint is done, then points are offered from, I think it's 8 to 1. Like the first 8 driver get point. Like the first get 8 points, and then the driver who finished first get 8 points, and then the 8th driver get 1 point. So it's like I think in order 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 3, 2, 1. That's like that. Now we are done with the normal race schedule. Now, and I'm done talking about the normal race weekend schedule, and then I also just finished dissipating the information regarding the sprint race weekend. Now that we are done with that, now I'm going to talk about circuit. Or okay, now we have normally we have two type of race circuit. We have like what we call traditional build race circuit, and then or race purpose build circuit, and then we have what we call street circuit. Street circuit, like the Baku City circuit here. These street circuits are normally the circuit itself is not naturally built for racing. This is normally just in a city or in a town, city town, I think I can say that. And then they just design the circuit around the road of the city, and then they close off section of the road just to make the circuit within the city. That's why they call city. It's a city circuit. So compared to, let me say, I have the Saudi Arabian, the Jeddah Conical circuit here. This is a circuit that is when it was built, it's purposely made for racing. So it's not part of the roads are not part of I hope this is so. Yeah, I hope I'm correct about this information. Yeah, so this is the circuit that is built for racing purpose. I just hope I'm not gonna mix up. I hope I'm correct, but I think I'm correct about the Jeddah Corniche circuit is also a full purpose built circuit. Compared to, let's say, the Baku City circuit, which is a city circuit, and then other other circuit that I'm just going to use this for the comparison sake, and I'm going to talk about information regarding laps, amount, and all that. So, okay, like the Silverstone is also one of the so I think it's also a purpose-built race circuit. Silverstone is one, and it's one of the most popular and been on the calendar for quite some time. And then we have the Red Bull Ring here in Austria. I think this is, if I'm not wrong, this is also a purpose-built circuit, if I'm not wrong. Then you have the Melbourne. I think this is a city circuit as well. This is a Melbourne. I don't think it's yeah, it's because you can say it's like using a mixture of the existing road around this city's Albert Park. Yeah, so Melbourne Grand Prix circuit is also a city circuit. Why the Now let's talk about the okay, I'm going to close this as I was using. Now let's talk about now this is the circuit for America. I tried to this is also, I think, a circuit, if I'm not wrong. Is it a purpose-built circuit? Because I know that the Miami, so, so, okay, I cannot really distinguish this. My mind is not clear about this. So then the circuit of America, but look like uh, it's a purpose-built circuit though. So, okay. Then lastly, Suzuka International Racing Course. And I think this is also a purpose-built race circuit. So, and this is one of the also popular and well-known circuit, and have a reputation. Now, I'm going to talk about what, as you can see, when we look here, we'll see that this circuit here, the number of lap of the whole race is only 50. And this one, and going on to Baku City Circuit, it's 51 laps. Going to the Belgian or Spa Francorchamps is 44 laps. And then going to Silverstone Circuit is 52 laps. And then going to number of laps on the Red Bull Ring is 71 laps. Melbourne or Australian Grand Prix, the Melbourne Grand Prix circuit is 58 laps, and the circuit of the Americas is 56 laps, and the Japanese Grand International Racing Course or Suzuka International Race Circuit, which is more commonly known as Japanese Grand Prix, is 53 laps. Now, if I'm going to talk about why there's a difference in laps per second. Okay, now I'm going to, at the start, I've mentioned that a normal race in Formula One, I think, is 308 kilometer. But you see that when we look at these circuits, we see that they are all in various lengths, different length. You see this one is 5.8 kilometer, 5.5. So you see that all these circuits have different length. And then that is one of the factors that play in the number of laps per race, per full race. Okay. Now let's talk about as I've already told you that a normal race is 308 kilometers. As you can 308 kilometers, which lasts about 2 hours. So sometime, yeah, normal is close to 2 hours. I would say if there is no safety car, it's around 1 hour 30 minutes. So, but if there are incident, then can go to 2 hours. And sometime if there are more stalling incident, maybe rain accident, red flags, then sometimes it even goes a little bit past 2 hours. But now with this, I'm going to explain just sticking to if, let's to say that nothing has happened during the race, just a 308 kilometer or so. Now you see, normally what I do, for me, what I do to decide to just get a grasp of how long or how many laps it's going to take, all I do is just take the circuit length, and then since I already know that a normal normal race length is 308 kilometer, depending on what racetrack. By regulation, a race should be 308 kilometer. So now, in order to get that, I'm just gonna bring up my calculator here. So what I normally do, I just say 308, then I divide it by the length of the circuit. Like in this one, for roughly, I can just say 6 kilometer. You see, by there, or so if you can already get a rough idea of how many laps each circuit. But to get on a very accurate one, I would just say 108, then divided by 6.174, and then you should be able to get close. Yeah, it's already 50 laps. So I think, and I think they also sort of round off things depending on those margin of every different tracks. So let me say if I go to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which is the race will last for 51 laps. So what I normally do, I just say 308 divided by 6, and then normally you get 51 laps. So I go to the Belgian Grand Prix, and this is, I think, if I'm not wrong, the Belgian Grand Prix is the longest race. Spa-Francorchamps is the longest track on the calendar. So normally what I do, I just do 308 divided by 7. Then you see 44 laps exactly. So that's how I normally, for me personally, if I don't know all the information, or if you just want to grasp how long, all you need to know is how long, what's the how many kilometers should a race as per regulation should be, and then you divide the length, the length of the race by the kilometer of the length of the circuit of the track, that specific race track. Then by that one you get the number of laps. So if you go to Silverstone, I just show you what I normally do: 308 and then divided by 5.8. Then so you see we have 53, but 52 laps. So yeah, close. So and then the same goes, I just do that rough calculation on every racetrack: 308, so but divided by 4.3, so 71 laps. So you see there. So but then you have those margin, then they just, you see this, that's, and then I think they sort of just round it off. As you can see, this here, it states the race distance is 306.453, not really exactly 308. I think they sort of just work out those margin. So now, so that's it. So I hope this was informative enough, just giving you information about the normal race weekend, and also race specific information like race distance and laps count and all that. So thank you very much for listening to this video. And yeah, so that's it. So we're just now at the end of January. Now February is just in 3 days, and then we can start with February, where teams will be revealing their challenger for the 2024 season, so that they can take on all these 24 race of the season, which are Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Japan, China, United States, Italy, Monaco, Canada, Spain, Austria, United Kingdom, Hungary, Belgium, the Netherlands, Italy, Azerbaijan, Singapore, and then again United States. So, and this is usually this is the norm, the United States Grand Prix, which is held at the Circuit of America, and then and then Mexico, Brazil, United States, Qatar, and then lastly the United Arab Emirates. Now, as you can see, I must also focus a bit that you see that there are 3 races that are going to happen in the United States. So, and then usually the first one is the Miami Grand Prix. So it's known as the Miami Grand Prix, which is held in Miami. And then we have the United States Grand Prix, which is in the past, it normally used to be the only Grand Prix. So, and this is the one which is held in the COTA, Circuit of the America. I think it's in Austin, Texas, if I'm not wrong. And then we have the Las Vegas. So yeah, the third, which is the third Grand Prix in the United States. So it's the only country that has 3 Grand Prix on the calendar. So, and then the Las Vegas Grand Prix and the Miami Grand Prix, I think they are they are city circuits Grand Prix, and it's only the circuit of the United States Grand Prix, which is headed the circuit of the Mega, which is the is it's held on a on a purpose built circuit. And then the other country that has, I think, 2 Grand Prix on the calendar is Italy. Italy has also have 2 Grand Prix on this calendar. They have the, I hope it's the same this year. Yeah, we have the Grand Premio Italy. Okay, I see for this year, Italy only have 1. Oh no, it's 2. I thought I just missed it. Yeah, they still have 2 Grand Prix. They have the Emilia Romagna, and then which is Gran Premio di Emilia Romagna. That's in Italia, and then they have the Italian Grand Prix, which is held in Monza. So Gran Premio d'Italia. So it's only 2 countries that have more than 1 Grand Prix. United States with 3 Grand Prix, and then Italy with 2 Grand Prix. So that's it. So then teams will be soon unveiling their challenger to conquer all these race, and to see who's going to come out on top and see which team is again. I know Red Bull are expected to have an upper head and edge already since the beginning of 2022. They've gotten all the regulation spot on, or they were able to make a car as per the new regulation from 2022, and those regulation 20 is going to go through all the way up to 2025, and then 2026 we are going to expect new regulation change again. So right now Red Bull has the edge, and they are already expected to sort of have an upper hand since they've already conquered the 2 seasons of these current regulations. So thank you very much, guys, and I hope it was an informative video, and you found this informative by your standards. Thank you.